All right, a little bit of a late start here. Let's take a look at everything and form up a plan. So, I guess where should I start? I guess in overall, I have to say I'm very, very frustrated with this market. If you follow me on Twitter, the Wheel Screener account, basically just been complaining. Um, we had a huge set of single prints. Um, Made some money on shorts. It's like basically an inventory correction. I'm surprised they didn't go further and clean up a bit more. The next day we had a poor low, poor high, bunch of single prints. These didn't get cleaned up on Friday. And Friday we did have a liquidation, uh, which had no acceleration. They couldn't even clean up the low in Globex. And we had a poor low and rallied almost back up to VPOC. I had shorts from basically beautiful entry at 386, was up like 140 points, I think. And yeah, had to close for like a plus 50 point trade. So I just haven't been too happy with this market. It's not doing anything. Yeah, of course it doesn't have. There are no rules in trading, but in terms of auction market profile and TPOs and stuff, it's been a nightmare. So yeah, so today had our as we've seen many times now. I think I've done, geez, I don't know, 3 or 4 streams where we've had a huge Globex gap down. Same playbook worked. We did offer all the way down to 490, but still nowhere near anywhere cleaning up all those single prints from the big gap on Wednesday. And then from there, if I go to the 30-minute, it's just been basically straight up. A little bit of volatility here towards the end of the EU session, but we just broke out of a poor high in Globex. So let's look at the surfaces and look, maybe form a plan here. That was my my rant for the past few days. So below to the downside, we've got 600. That has been a key level for a while now, but it's basically been in between two auctions also for a while. That was much more of a pivot back in March. Then we kind of basically gap opened below it. I think that was that the March OPEX? We were down there, and then from Wednesday we've gapped above it. And to be honest, in equities, I'm surprised that last week we didn't even get a one touch. So that could be, if we get any liquidation, could be a decent target, a decent initial target. Yeah, I'm still skeptical about this gap, but who knows? Maybe could be weeks, could be months before it ever fills. So just blindly wishing is not very useful. And then above is mostly negative gamma, so we could get a little bit of a squeeze here. I mean, the biggest negative gamma isn't all the way up until 620, which is way up. And that's also interesting to know. On Friday, that was basically the March highs that we poked above and then offered, liquidated almost directly off of. That's the reason for that short. I usually do not take shorts like of a breakout. That was basically a breakout above IB high, but that's a pretty significant level, especially as overextended as we are. My reasoning was like, okay, some long somewhere have to eventually take a little bit off the table. So that was my reasoning for the shorts on Friday. But yeah, so structurally to the upside, of course, is the play back into value, VPOC up at 350. But of course, overnight inventory is very long. We could see if sellers want to defend kind of this this gap here, but usually as we've seen on Monday, gaps get filled and then with a bit of continuation. But a bit of a tough story for longs because of that kind of liquidation on Friday. So, what's the risk reward here? If you're worried about this level again, we're already up 300 points from the lows. Are we going to go up another 200, or do you want to start looking at this poor structure here? We still got the naked VPOC down at 24,200. So currently, though, you can't ignore this price action. Looks like market wants to go higher for now, but could definitely see a inventory correction. So yeah, let's see what happens. Max Vex is down at 606. I'm not sure if I have that level marked out, but let's hop down to the 1 minute. Market's opening about in 10 seconds, so let's see what happens. I just see green tape bomb, so it looks like they just want to rip this up to the previous VPOC, which I could definitely see happening if there's no interest in inventory correction. So let's check out, see how the surfaces change here. So if buyers are serious, we could see some acceleration up through this negative gamma. Don't see, in terms of Vanna, not until 615 would have some headwind there. So let's see what happens. I mean, that reasoning could also be this low was annoyingly bid on Friday. Decent sells now. So let's see if we were to short here, targeting like the overnight VPOC. And another thing I also want to mention is these, I forgot to mention these singles from E period on Thursday. This would also be an interesting, if we were to drop down here, to see then if buyers defend this level. That would be another interesting nuance of the auction. So it's bullish here. Order flow is bullish on MNQ. Not so much, not as bullish on NQ. But let's see here. And actually quite a small, it's only like a 15 point opening range. But looks like it's going for inventory correction here. So let's see here if we get filled. This would be kind of that positive VEX play down to 606, which I'd have to look at. So yeah, it's actually below those singles. So I'd be a bit skeptical. I'd have to watch carefully at the start of the single prints up there. So here at like 145, we've also got a higher volume node here. And just decent absorption. So, but it is all negative gamma until there's the flip, like 604. So could be choppy. very choppy in both ways here. So I think if this doesn't close below the 1 minute range, I'm gonna get out, which is basically in 9 seconds. So you need to see the 1 minute opening range re-offer, otherwise I'm gonna get out of this. So the bottom is bidding. Yeah, so I'm out. So it's a scratch for 12 points. Let me see on MNQ here. Yeah, decent bids. Decent bids. But overall, I have to comment, it's a pretty slow start. You know, we're barely even broken a 50-point range. I still got the MNQ chart up. Go down to the 1 minute. Okay. So sellers are probing, but wondering if this is worth a retry here. I'm just seeing decent absorption down here. 25,200. We were to offer 200. Let's see if they re-offer 200, and then I would put a tighter stop, like back to the 1 minute. But yeah, let's see what happens here. Back to the surfaces. Yeah, so still looking for that max vex tag at 606. And 600 looks like the max gex, which is, where is that? Be just below the Globex lows. So okay. So let's see if they, okay, 200. The issue is if the bullish configuration continues, that could have just been a tag of that like higher volume node. If this breaks though, then I don't see why we can't get to the overnight. I think, although NQs may be different. No, NQs is also 115, so let me see how the order flow looks here. Yeah, decent bids. On the Qs, this is, well, nothing really. 60, 608, 50. So think there's nothing to do but watch and wait now. So yeah, watching if this liquidation continues and then see if there's any interest in 145 to bid. Those single prints from was that Thursday. So just kind of sitting at VPOC here. It's still above at 218 on NQ. So 606, yeah. It's below those single prints. So it's like, let me look on the 30-minute. It's like here, 2580. Is that right? Yeah, just above those two there. So am I looking at, wait a second. Yeah. So yeah, 25, like 85 or so. Something like that. So pretty slow start to the day. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I could imagine. I mean, I could see if they give up this kind of higher volume node, then it makes sense to move to the next one. Then what do we got? 67, and then below this, there's not much down there. Okay. So 1 minute opening range looked like it was going to bid. Sellers kind of smacked it, at least for now. I mean, if this closes like that, that's pretty bearish. Let me look at the order flow on the NQ. I mean, NQ is just like, they're just accumulating, so it's kind of like opposite of price, which is difficult. but it could be that they just want this. They want to revisit Friday's value. Could definitely see that. Though, super slow. No urgency from either side, really. Look a little bit at gamma. I mean, yeah, below it's all negative until 604. So I'm gonna rely on the max vex at 606 and hope that we get down there. And you could also use this Wednesday's open is almost like top tick of the same level. And then what happened? That was also the A period, the opening half hour. We went all the way down to 605 or even 605.50. Not that the same thing happens again, but if there's no interest in Friday's value, could use kind of Wednesday's profile as a as a pattern. So let me even, what I like doing is just so keep it clean. So it'd be, if I move it up to 0.75 there, that would be a 85 point trade. And though this high volume node from the overnight is putting up a pretty good fight. So in terms of 1 minute, yeah, and VWAP is also all the way down there, 25,100. So let's see if gamma's changing at all. Seems still stably negative. So let's watch this 145, see if buyers want to defend those singles. But I don't get the random bids off like nothing. This is a bit weird for me. Like, we bid off here, they offered. We bid off 160. What is 160? Nothing, in my opinion. But yeah, Okay, that looks like news for sure. And I'm out. Fun. Yeah, so to review, we looked at the max Vex down at 606. Looked like it was headed that way. But yeah, to me this looks like news right now. I don't know, could just be a short squeeze. I'd have to look. But yeah, now that we're back, if we can get back into Friday's value area low, which looks like we're about to do in a minute, then yeah, I would look at 350, then that March high, and then I think we're close to the yearly open above that. So those would be your targets to the upside. So yeah, 2 small scratches, annoying, but yeah, we will see. And yeah, I guess we'll tune in next Monday for the next stream. All right, until then, take care and see you.